Because Bill Parham wasn't dead, at least not until mere moments ago, when the bullets from the cops' gun had torn through his bones and perforated his organs.
Is he the Hive?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Later, in the void.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And in today's episode, this SCP, I heard about it in the past. There was another previous animation of it on another channel. I just never got around to it. And now this just came up out of nowhere. I think it's time for us to dive deep into this. So this one seems like a pretty juicy one, guys. No cap. This is SCP-439, Bone Hive. So with this title, it really leads to like multiple things it could be. I'm sure it's going to be juicy. Looking at the thumbnail, it looked pretty nice. So I literally just want to dive deep. So with that being said, if you guys are excited for this reaction, please remember to smash that like button, smash that sub button, and hit that bell so you stay plugged for each and every upload. And also let me know what you think about this SCP in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, because I always listen to you guys in the comments. And remember, let's get this video to 100 likes. That's the benchmark going forward for these videos, guys. 100 likes, first 24 hours, just get it done, man. Especially if this is a banger. So with that all out the way, without any further ado, let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-439, Bone Hive. Lego.
Disturbing things had been happening on the 5th floor of the Rose Heights apartment building in Albany, New York. Residents had reported strange noises over the last few days. Screaming in the night, pained muttering, soft weeping, scratching and scuttling in the walls. And worst of all, what seemed like an infestation of bugs unlike anything the unfortunate occupants of Rose Heights had ever seen before. They weren't abnormal in size or shape. They looked an awful lot like the common earwig, around 2.5 centimeters long with large curved pincers on the back.
Oh my
but
God.
The color wasn't right. Unlike the usual dark brown, these earwigs were a silvery, almost translucent gray.
Bro, I gotta talk about this. Those were one of the insects when I was younger that scared the shit out of me. Cause my friends used to tell me that these bugs will literally find a way to get to your bed when you're sleeping and bury themselves in your ears. And that's why they call themselves earwigs, because they eat the earwax. And I actually believe that. Like being the gullible goofball I was when I was younger, I believed that shit and it scared me. So every time I see earwigs or whatever, I just have like a really queasy feeling about it, man. Like, I just had to share that.
When people spotted them crawling across their walls or hiding in the carpet, they seemed to shimmer in the light. Eventually, the building's landlady, Donna Tompkins, was called in to do something about the infestation. She spoke to each of the residents about their experience. They reported the strange noises, the mysterious bugs, and even a funny smell they'd sometimes catch in the hall. A smell like someone had thrown up. And every single person that Donna spoke to couldn't help but remark that the smell was particularly strong outside the apartment of a certain resident, Bill Parham.
Bill, what you doing, bud?
Was the fact that Bill hadn't been seen in days. Donna knocked on his door, but received no answer. She called him on his cell phone and could hear the phone ringing inside the apartment, but it just went to voicemail. When she checked the security footage of the lobby, she saw that Bill hadn't left the building in the last few days either. Donna called the police, worried that Bill might be sick or even dead inside his apartment. It was strange, given that he was only in his 30s and didn't seem to have any health conditions. But stranger things had happened.
So the bugs are eating up Bill right now as we speak? I'm assuming that's what's going on? That's why it smells so bad?
Much stranger things were about to happen too. 2 police officers arrived not long after. They called through the door one more time, and when they got no response, Donna gave them the key to head inside. The apartment was a wreck. All the furniture was covered
is that
in
poop
dust.
on the walls or something?
Filthy dishes were piled high in the sink and on the draining
Is that
board.
poop, bro?
The smell
Like,
of rot was thick in the air. There were empty boxes of painkillers. All the pills popped from their silvery foil laying on the ground.
That's poop, bro.
Worst of all were the bugs. The apartment was crawling with them, and they were on every surface. Those silvery gray earwigs. Neither of the officers liked bugs, and it seemed like the deeper they got into the apartment, the more bugs there were. Some even seemed to be crawling towards them.
Oh, hell no. Fuck this SCP, bro. I'm having a lot. Why did it have to be earwigs, bro? Oh my God. Jesus.
Them as though they were defending their territory. This looked to be a textbook case of
can't
what
with this
happens
one.
when a resident keels over and dies. But there was just one problem.
Where's Bill?
Where was the body?
Yeah.
Bill Parham had seemingly dropped off the face of the earth. And now a colony of mysterious bugs had started squatting in his apartment in his
Did the
absence.
bugs eat every bit of
Then
Bill?
came that smell again. That truly awful smell. Like bile and blood. It was even stronger now, and it seemed like it was coming from a nearby closet.
Oh.
The two officers, acting on pure instinct, drew their weapons and approached the closet
That's
with
Bill?
caution. Even if they weren't consciously aware
Leftovers?
of it, they knew they were going to find something awful inside. Something evil. Something dangerous. When they threw open the closet door, they couldn't help but scream. They'd found the nest. It was a huge round hive, like the biggest beehive you've ever seen, melded into the lower corner of the closet. The unnatural earwigs were crawling into, out of, and around it. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands of them.
God.
And the second they registered the presence of the two officers, intruders into their nest, they began to swarm. In sheer panic, both raised their guns and opened fire into the closet, but it didn't do them any good. Their bullets just pierced and splintered the hive, causing even more enraged insects to spill out and begin crawling
Goofy.
over the two cops.
Should've burned
They fled
that.
from the apartment, screaming in pain from the gnashing pincers of the insects crawling all over their skin.
No
They never
way.
did find the
No
corpse
way.
of Bill Parham.
Out of all the SCPs, if I was in the Foundation and I had to choose not to deal with, this will be the number one on my list. Number one. Like, I could not even handle one of them, let alone a whole colony of them. This is actually tough.
But that's because Bill Parham wasn't dead. At least not until mere moments ago, when the bullets from the cops' gun had torn through his bones and perforated his organs. He died not long after, and if he could still speak close to the end, he would have thanked them both for the mercy. Because
Wait.
the monstrosity that they just
Wait.
encountered-
Did I hear that right?
It's because Bill Parham wasn't dead. At least not until mere moments ago, when the bullets from the cops' gun had torn through his bones and perforated his organs.
Is he the Hive?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Are you kidding me? This boy turned to the beehive or the bone hive or whatever? Bruh, y'all really play with me with this one. Nah, this can't be it. I need to know the process of how this happened. What the heck?
He died not long after, and if he could still speak close to the end, he would have thanked them both for the mercy. Because the monstrosity that they'd just encountered in the closet wasn't just a nest of mysterious insects in Bill Parham's apartment. It was Bill himself. This is the fate worse than death in store for anyone supremely unlucky enough to fall victim to SCP-439.
How did this happen?
Better known by the
Explain.
nickname for their unique nests, the Bone Hive. And while these nasty little critters may be small, they're filled with enough pure nightmare fuel to send you running into 682's containment chamber for a little comfort.
Oh, yeah, for
Let's
sure.
go through this whole nightmarish
pick him
process
any day over
and
them.
tell you exactly what happened to poor Bill Parham.
Yeah.
First discovered by the SCP Foundation in mainland China, SCP-439 specimens largely get by on the fact that they're not much to look at. Unless you're an entomologist, when you see a strange insect, you probably just accept the fact that it's a perfectly normal breed you've just never encountered before. Nobody is hammering down the doors of their local news station to alert the press about the gray earwig they saw crawling out of a crack in their bathroom wall.
I would.
But if Bill Parham had done just that, it would have saved his life. The Foundation would have immediately flagged the incident as an SCP-439 infestation and dispatched a mobile task force to deal with it. Instead, when Bill saw the earwig for the first time, he was getting ready for work and didn't have the time to stop and deal with it.
What? You didn't even kill it? Who does that? You just let a bug go... Maybe that's... maybe I'm just a weird one. But I would literally kill a bug. I don't care. I'll make the time. What the hell? It takes a few seconds.
He made a mental note to buy some bug killer on the way home, but quickly forgot. The insect didn't forget him, though. In fact, it thought he would be a perfect candidate for the SCP-439 process. The Foundation has
boys.
tested extensively with the one SCP-439 sample they'd been able to successfully catch and contain. In all tests, they found that 439 specimens rejected hosts from any species other than humans. They're an extraordinarily specific parasite. It's also only one particular type of SCP-439 specimen that you actually need to worry about. The queens. Despite their superficial similarities, SCP-439 behaved nothing like non-anomalous earwigs. Normal earwigs are not social creatures. They're solitary scavengers and they don't keep nests as permanent habitats. The same can definitely not be said for SCP-439.
Oh my freaking god.
They have complex social structures, much like that of bees, ants, and termites, with queens, scouts, workers, and warriors. If you happen to encounter a worker or a warrior, you may get a painful pinch from their pinchers if you get too close.
Why?
But if
Why would you even touch
on the
it?
wrong side of one of the queens, then you have a much, much worse fate in store for you.
Ooh.
And it just so happened that the SCP-439 specimen that appeared in Bill Parham's bathroom that morning was visiting royalty. This 439 queen had selected her target, and now it was time to move to the next part of the process. Initial
what luck, Billy.
infiltration.
Or Bill, whatever.
When Bill returned home from work, he was delighted to find that the gray earwig was nowhere to be seen. But that didn't
Why would
mean
it just stay
was
there?
gone. It was still there lurking. It just didn't want to be seen. After all, the real fun would happen after Bill went to bed. Once SCP-439 detects that its potential
Don't go
host
in
has
his
fallen
ear.
into a deep
Please.
sleep, it will crawl onto the person's body and into their mouth, which is
Okay.
exactly what it did to Bill.
So not
it
the
feels
best,
like
but, you
little
know.
more than a tickle in your throat, and you will have no idea that the tiny creature crawling down your windpipe and into the soft, warm tissue of your lungs spells your doom. Very few people wake up during this process, but even if they did, there's virtually nothing they could do.
How would you?
When
How
Bill
would you
woke
not wake up
He
though?
was suffering from mild.
I'm such a light sleeper, so I can't even imagine anything like touching like my mouth or my lips or anything. I won't just wake up from that unless I'm super exhausted or drunk off my ass or something. Like who knows? But like, yo, there's no way.
Chest pains and shortness of breath, a symptom not uncommon in a number of respiratory ailments. He had no idea that the SCP-439 queen was already inside him. He got up and went about his day, trying to ignore the pain as it gradually grew worse and worse, feeling almost like something was moving inside his chest. He spent the whole day having to stop to let out a deep, hacking cough, but coughing didn't expel or change anything. He looked and felt so terrible that his boss let him go home early, hoping that Bill would be able to sleep off whatever illness he thought he had picked up. But over the next couple of days, his condition only worsened. The pain grew so excruciating he could barely move, and he was popping painkillers like Tic Tacs to no effect. He started running a dangerously high fever, his body trying in vain to fight back against its lethal intruder. He felt worse than he ever had in his life, but little did poor Bill know, the most terrible parts of the process were yet to come. Through anomalous means, an SCP-439 infection is able to induce fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, or FOP, in its victims, which is typically a genetic disease that presents itself before the victim turns 10 years old. The condition is infamous for its primary symptom, turning muscle and other soft tissue into bone, slowly but surely paralyzing the victim and putting them into a state of unspeakable pain.
Is that an actual real disease? Turning muscle into bone? I'm actually gonna look that up at the end of this video.
This bone transformation process is known as ossification.
No way.
And Bill was about to experience it firsthand. His pain increased as his mobility decreased, with more of his flesh becoming solid lumps of bone underneath the skin.
That is insane.
Soon enough, all he knew was pain. It became so agonizing that he was delirious with it. He was drunk on pain. Even perceiving sunlight felt like being stabbed in the eyes.
Drunk on pain?
That's why, like all the other victims of SCP-439, he decided to conceal himself in a warm, dark place where no light could get to him. In Bill's case, of course, that place was his closet. He was hurting so bad that all he could do was curl up into the fetal position and weep as his muscles turned to bone and his body began to compact and shrink. He didn't even look like a human anymore. He was more like a ball, covered in a bone shell and filled with warm organs. That's when the queen started laying eggs among his organs. It wasn't long before there was a new brood of around 30,000 specimens living inside Bill's body. He was still very much alive, but there wasn't anything he could do about his situation. His muscles had long since turned to bone, and they had eaten large portions of his brain, leaving mainly the parts needed to keep his organs just barely functioning. After all, the colony still needs central heating. SCP-439
They kept it-
colonies had
Okay, yo, this by far the worst SCP. Would not want to run into. I'm being straight up, and I've seen a lot at this moment in time now. Number one, I would not want to deal with this. Are you kidding me? Kept them alive for the heathen. For the heathen. Oh my goodness.
developed a perfect parasitic relationship with the human body. They even used the stomach inside the hive to pre-digest food into a liquid slurry that's easier for them to consume. The only loser in this situation is someone like Bill, who is forced to become the new home for the world's most nightmarish freeloaders. Eventually, when the colony becomes too big, a queen departs to start a new one, and the process repeats itself once more. It's enough to make you want to sleep with your mouth closed for the rest of your life. Oh, and we haven't even told you the worst part yet. Foundation scientists have conducted tests on some victims of SCP-439, and found that while the creatures do consume large parts of the brain, the parts they leave are capable of consciousness. That's right. Their victims remain aware of what's happening to them the whole time, even when they hardly seem human at all anymore. What actually finally kills the victims of SCP-439 isn't the bodily trauma. It's the starvation that sets in when the colony inevitably moves on. Did we just hear you cough? You might want to go get that checked out. Now go watch this
one blew my mind. Honestly, I never thought I would actually. I thought the first insect one with like the insect arm and everything, that was like pretty queasy. The vermin god as well too. But this one low key blows them out of the water, out of like the one I would not want to deal with at this moment in time. Guys, this was a tough one to get through. I hope you guys all enjoyed this reaction. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this SCP or if you guys had a queasy feeling just like me. And yeah, I'm at a loss for words. This has got me feeling a certain way, but like, yo, I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Please smash that like button if you guys did. Please smash the sub button and hit that bell so you stay plugged for each and every upload. Remember, let's hit 100 likes for this one. So yeah, and unfortunately, that concludes today's episode. However, I'll catch you guys on the next one.